Hey everyone, hope all is well. Life may very well be a numbers game, but that doesn't mean you should live a life that is dominated by numbers. Social status has always been an important component of human existence. It's natural to have this desire to be respected, to be seen in a positive light, and to be popular. And so we are constantly trying to get a real sense of where we stand in the world and how we relate to one another. And this can generally be worked out through our interactions within friendship circles, the communities that we live in, or places of employment. Human beings are complicated biological machines, and so trying to work out your relationship with hundreds of others is quite a difficult task, especially when you consider that everyone has their own history and direction of travel in terms of how they develop as an individual over time. But for the most part, we have long managed to get a perspective of our place in the world by just living life. However, cue the cliche phrase, the internet has changed everything. Pretty cliche. It has broadened our horizons, it has exposed us to more information, more people, and more uncomfortable truths. We have been forced into a new age where calculating your social status is no longer just about lived experience within your local community. There is a whole world out there that your mind is now conscious of. Social media has played a big part of this, providing us all with an extension of our inner self, a digital representation of who we think we are. And it has provided us with so much data, including metrics like followers, retweets, shares, likes, and friends that can serve as blunt indicators of where we sit in society, or at least where we think we do. It has long been known that no matter who you are in the world, there will always be someone out there who is better than you at something. But the internet has increased our consciousness to this reality, and in turn exacerbated the potential impact that this realisation has on people's mental well-being. There are two main ways we can respond to this notion. One is with discouragement, I will never be as good as them. Or secondly, you can respond with encouragement, thinking, you know what? I too can achieve great things, for I am on my own journey. And it's true, we are all on our own journeys in life. But when you see our social media profiles next to each other with similar layouts and comparable stats like comments, likes, friends, etc., it can create the opposite impression that somehow we are in fact all on the same one. Numbers can of course be a great indicator for progress when working on particular projects, etc. I for one am a huge fan of data. But by allowing these elements to define you as a person, you distance yourself from the art of living. It can hinder achieving a real sense of purpose and happiness in life. The other problem with focusing too much on numbers is that the scale can be never-ending, like is the case with money, for example. You can always gain one more than what you already have, and so if you keep chasing that sense of accumulation, you will never be satisfied. That can create tunnel vision and a need for perfectionism that doesn't exist. So it becomes a question of how far you are willing to walk down that path until you realise where it leads. And so if we can accept that life is about quality and not quantity, then it helps us understand, not just on a rational level, but an emotional one, that social status should not be determined by popularity, but by the meaningful relationships you share with those that you are connected to. This became very clear to me back when I used to attend a lot of global YouTube events and gatherings. I'd often get asked by people, are you famous on YouTube? And my honest answer would be, no, I'm not well known, but I am well respected. Because in terms of subscribers and viewership, I didn't even come close to where the big personalities were. And that's okay, because despite this, I was still known by the biggest names and the leading people in the industry because of my contribution over the years to the community that we grew up in together. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. Here's another quick story on this point. A great friend of mine is a vocalist for a huge US metal band, and so we rarely get to hang out in person. When I mentioned how this was a shame to him, he said some very wise words. He said, Myles, the quality of a friendship should not be measured by how often you get to see each other, but by the strength of the connection that exists each time you do. And he's right. Despite the fact we only get to see each other once every 1 to 2 years, there is no sense of deterioration within our friendship between each meeting. Quality over quantity. And as I've always said, progress is something you only notice when you look over your shoulder. And the chances are, whenever you look back in life, you won't be reflecting on the numbers. Instead, you'll be reflecting back on the experiences and how they made you feel. This reminds me of a brilliant short film I saw a few years ago called Lost Memories, which shows a world in which people invest so much of their time and effort into digital space, only to be left with nothing after a global disaster shuts down all forms of digital communication. And it got me thinking, if the internet went away tomorrow, what would you be left with? I find that question to be a great way of keeping yourself in check about the type of life that you are living. So with all that said, here are a few key points to summarise. Number 1, social media is an extension of who you think you are. Number 2, live your reality and not your digital representation of it. As a brief example, the reality is not that you have X number of friends on Facebook. The reality is that you hung out with so-and-so the other week, or that you've got these things planned in the days to come. Number 3, numbers are useful tools, as I'm using right now, but don't let them define you. For example, when getting counselling, I would sometimes be asked to rate a particular emotion or feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. Sound familiar? And it's helpful, but these numbers don't define me. In fact, my emotions define the numbers. What I may deem to be 7 out of 10 for happiness may be rated differently by someone else. It all comes down to perspective, derived from lived experience. Number 4, comparison can be the thief of joy. If you focus so much on what other people have, that you start to lose focus with what you do. Remember, we are all on our own journeys. And number 5, when you look back on your life, you will remember the experiences. So fill your heart and mind with the joys of experience and not with the dread of numbers. So tell me, what are your experiences with social media? Are there ways that you use it to try and improve your sense of well-being? And be honest, have you ever found yourself focusing perhaps a little too much on numbers and other digital constructions online? Let me know in the comments section of this video. Please click the like and share button. And if you really want to support my videos and help me keep making them, visit patreon.com/Myles Dyer for more information. I have some really exciting plans coming over the horizon, but you'll have to stay tuned for all that. So take care, and I will see you on Thursday. Adios till next time.